considering the spectrum.
I have to talk about this.
Sorry to disappoint you. In 1979-1980 was of Mr. Wycliffe McAllister, a member of the GDF. Do you know the name?
I have a vague recollection of McAllister in the GDF. I don't know. PR or something.
You're not aware of the GDF asking him to train members of the House of Israel?
Not aware of.
Did the GDF operate a communications switchboard at Camp Stevenson in 1980?
I would imagine that they have a switchboard at Camp Stevenson. I don't know what's the difference between a communications switchboard and a switchboard. Telephone system, yes. I'm sure that we had that at Camp Stevenson.
In 1980?
Camp Stevenson is the American.
Yes, this is in 1980?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to tie up issue raised by one of the commissioner. Were you any other rank, as far as you're aware, in the GDF, asked by the police about the movements in the plane?
I was never asked, I never knew.
Did you personally fear that Dr. Walter Rodney had infiltrated your army?
There was no fear. I think that was a reality. We had the clean, young, white, you name it. We had all sorts of leaflets and what have you going around the army. And it's not a fear. There's nothing to fear, be afraid of, but it's a reality.
Could you be more specific of that stated that he had infiltrated the army?
I'm sorry, satisfied that. I don't like the word infiltration, but he certainly had a following in there.
You didn't feel that he may have posed a security threat to the army because of that?
Is Jay clean and what?
Yeah, I'm fine.
These are periodical like a flyer that's prepared by, I don't want to say who I think it was, but it was going around to all the soldiers in intention to undermine loyalty and discipline and all that.
I've seen Jay clean in the culture.
You didn't see how way?
I don't think that's in the anti-that's also.
Was Rodney speaking from time to time?
Never met him, never had the honor of meeting him.
Just as a wrap-up question, do you agree that in the late 1970s and the 1980s, that the GDF benefited historically?
10 years ago, 70s or 80s?
No, 1980.
All right.
In the late 1970s and in 1980, do you agree that the GDF, as an organization, was the recipient of more human and financial resources than any other period of our history?
Probably right. So as I indicated to you, if you have 8,000 men, you have an artillery battalion, you have a special forces battalion, and what have you. You have a lot of men to train, to feed, and we had a lot of exercises going on, Iron Beat, Green Heart, where we kept the soldiers very busy on training.
Do you agree that as a matter of government policy, the the military apparatus of the state was being increased.
Well, there was good reason. We had problems on three sides. We had the Sudanese on one side, the Venezuelan side, the Atlantic Ocean on the other side.
And also on Rodney.
I can see Walter as such a threat to him. I mean, he's a leader who led from the front, as I do. So I didn't see him as a threat at all. I never met him. I didn't know him, but a lot of my officers went to school with him. I thought he was what we call a frontline leader and political activist.
What was the threat from the Atlantic?
I was taking there. So what? It's $1 million a mile. Ski the ocean out and with the rising sea levels, we're in real trouble.
That will conclude my question.
I don't believe it.
You want to move on further?
I understand it. Mr. Williams is willing to give way.
No, we won't have asked now, but you said he would not have been willing to keep over the
I had no discussion with him.
That's not acceptable.
He's pretty circle of the life.
Your friend gave me a specific indication that he was willing to give way. I'm surprised to hear that he's changing, that I must have directed that conversation. Anyway.
You want me to do that?
Oh, nice. Thank you very much for all the support.
Whatever the prayers like, whatever we did, but.
And that's why you were doing the order. This is a big part, major. You had indicated that you were surprised that your appointment. Why were you surprised?
Major General.
Major General.
Sorry, an emotion is outside.
My emotion?
That's an emotion.
I beg your pardon. Major General, your full title.
Why were you surprised?
Why were you surprised?
I was enjoying my work as Director General of the National Service. We were doing great things with young people, 5,000 young people. And I didn't see myself going to the army. So that was a real surprise.
Were you surprised only because you were enjoying what you were doing, or were you surprised at what you were being called upon to do?
I was surprised at what I was being called on to do.
And why did you think that you were trained to do that? Maybe I should put it another way. Did you think there were other people more trained and more qualified than yourself who were due for that post?
I won't put it that way, but there certainly were highly qualified people who were within the military structure who you assume would become the chiefs and staff of them.
Do you know any reason why they were overlooked in your case?
I don't have a clue.
I'm suggesting to you that you do in fact have a clue.
No, I don't, honest. I was enjoying, was the best service I've ever given. When you were talking about young people who could move mountains, and you would lead them, you were, everywhere. You have people in this room here who was the DG, you don't remember me? You have a lawyer here. And I have many others in this room who would put up their hands and say, I was in the National Service, and this did wonderful things to me. Look, you can see that. It is the best service I've ever led, and it was the most rewarding that I've ever had. So I was happy where I was.
I understand how
we were planting 2,000 acres of cotton. We put down a cotton gin. Black Eye Drive, Black Eye, we were producing Black Eye and feeding the nation in terms of chicken and eggs and what have you. At Papaya, we were doing the same thing for greens. At Itabo, we were doing quarry. At Conroe, consumer. And making toothpicks, it was the greatest experience of my life.
I understand. You also said that you were not welcome. Those are your words.
Oh, yes.
Who didn't welcome you? Who was that makes you feel unwelcome?
The officers of the GDF for the same reason. Who was this police old soldier coming here? And if you read David Granger's book, he says that they saw me coming to the army as chief of staff as, where you come from? Why, how
come to In Barbados, we call it big fake.
Okay, right. So I was not very welcome there. I told you, they had a bomb scare on my arrival. So I said, well, we have to go. So
And you got on with work.
we got on the work. And,
Several of the people that didn't welcome you, did you understand that those people were PNC sympathizers?
no.
You did not understand?
No. I didn't see them as PNC sympathizers. I saw them as military personnel who felt that they were maybe not given the chance to elevate themselves there.
Can you just confirm for me that there were a number of things you didn't know around the period of June 30th through to, let's say, the 20th? You didn't know initially that there was any Gregory Smith in existence at all. You didn't know, you were eventually told in the next few days that he did exist.
Yes.
You didn't know anything about this plane flying into Pakwani or anywhere else.
No.
I have to suggest to you that even though in Barbados we heard about this plane, you heard nothing about any plane moving this man at any
Shortly
time.
after.
Shortly after, within the period of, I don't want to say weeks to months after, you had no knowledge.
No, no.
You knew the chap that you mentioned, Jerry Goliath, personally.
Yes. He was a product of the National Service as well. He's one who we sent to every river to be trained as a pilot.
If he flew that plane, you would have expected him to have told you.
I would have expected him to tell me what he did.
And last week he didn't tell you that. Last week he didn't tell you that.
Last week he told me, then I think he's been summoned to come here.
But did he tell you anything about
No.
me flying the plane?
No, sir.
He told you he was coming to give evidence of
Yes,
flying the plane.
yes.
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
And now I just wanted to suggest to the listeners that if indeed he did fly the plane, then I think that that's the evidence.
I don't know.
Would you then be prepared to accept that you had officers around you who might be taking instructions from outside of the political directive?
Grateful chair.
Unknown to you, Bob.
Possibly. And I would have thought that I was a mentor for that.
So in other words, again, you were surprised when he said
I'm
to
not
you.
surprised.
But he said to you, I'm coming to give evidence about it. Well, you tell us what he told you. You tell
Well,
us.
I don't know where he meant. I'm trying to remember where he meant.
That's not aware.
No, because I'm trying to put some.
Okay,
Remember that I'm suffering from half sight was not odd.
That's right.
My mother can give me all that transpired as a little boy, but she don't remember that I went there yesterday.
Don't worry about your mother.
So short memory goes.
Don't worry about your mother. You told this commission earlier that you had a conversation with this gentleman.
That's right.
And your memory seemed reasonably fresh at that point.
Yes.
Can you remember any of the content whatsoever of that conversation?
Only to the effect that he was being summoned to come here to give evidence in connection with flying the plane to what?
Flying the plane.
Yes.
And this was the first time in 34 years that you're hearing anything about that plane.
Correct.
Did you ask him any questions at
No,
all?
sir. Having not told me for 34 years, I don't want to know.
So you're willing to agree pretty much with what the chair is suggesting, that there could well have been a complete conspiracy within the GDF of which you know nothing. You're willing to take that?
Yes, I'm willing to take
Yeah, but I ain't going to that.
Well, I'm glad he's taking it.
Members of Robin were taking the instruction
I know.
from outside politicians to the net to do it way past it.
So I'm using my words, so you're willing to accept that there may well have been a conspiracy underneath you.
I am not accepting a conspiracy. There may have been somebody who has been given instructions on which I knew nothing of. Not as I would have known, because remember, as I told you, we have 13 or 14 planes, and they fly all over this country to bring out people who are injured, snake bite, bad pregnancy, whatever it is.
But if they're
All
flying,
over the day.
if they're flying around with deserters who are blowing up people, you would like to know about that.
I would have liked to know.
But you were never told anything
No,
about that,
sir.
not even by your good friend Jerry Goliath.
I didn't call him that.
You described him as your friend. You described him as your friend. You described him as your friend.
Well, I think we can presentation of the report to this discipline organization because this is the damage that they take. Orders only from the end.
Was it from
the chain of command. And you
was it from the political directorate? I don't know that.
No. Assuming
I don't know where we got it from.
assuming that it would be that your view of the presentation was.
That's what.
If indeed the evidence turns out to be that people outside the army were given instructions to the army for
I'm going to my political exit. I would like to suggest, Commissioner.
where is that
He got instructions from where? I don't know.
but not from within the army.
I don't know.
No, but assume that for a moment.
But that's an assumption.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, as lawyers, and we're all lawyers and you're commissioners, the rule in Brown versus Dunn applies. And so if the commission has evidence from Jerry Cavallo that he's coming to the commission to give particular evidence, then the commission should put it to the former chief of staff and let him agree or disagree. Let the rule in Brown versus Dunn apply.
I'm sorry, I thought I understood the witness to be saying when he had this brief conversation with Mr. Cavallo indicated that he did fly this person.
No, I didn't say that.
No?
Never said that.
Hold on.
Never said so.
He was coming here to give evidence about what Major General, about what? He told me he was coming here to give evidence about flying a plane.
Yes.
Did flying the plane to where?
To McLean.
To Pakwani?
Yes.
With who?
That's what he didn't tell me.
The allegation of trying to do.
No, he never said allegations. He said he was coming to give evidence about flying the plane.
But I'm actually saying about an allegation of fact. I don't know. We haven't seen any statement from them.
Because we are just getting this witness's evidence.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Okay.
You indicated to the commission earlier that you were happy to learn initially that there was no breakfast. Naturally, because you didn't want this on your plate. Right? And then you were happy then to learn, well, he is a soldier, but at least he has deserted. Did you at any time take it upon yourself to try to find out when he had deserted?
No.
Once you heard deserted, you wash your hands of the whole Gregory Smith affair.
No, the police were...
You, not the police. Did you wash your hands of the Gregory Smith involvement in the murder of Walter Rodney when you heard he was a deserter?
We are dealing with the dead.
I beg your pardon, I'm misgrazing. I beg your pardon. When you learned that Gregory Smith was a deserter, did you at that point wash your hands of doing any type of investigative procedures vis-a-vis his involvement in the death, I beg your pardon, of Walter Rodney?
That's a police matter.
The answer to that would be yes.
No, I don't like the terminology wash my hands.
What terminology would you use to describe how you did not investigate him out further?
Whatever is denying,
Sorry?
a benign
A benign?
position where that is concerned.
I don't understand what you're saying. Please see if you can explain that a little bit better. A benign position?
Yes. Where this matter is concerned, the police were going to do the investigation.
Did you take any further interest in the matter?
Not really.
You did nothing?
No.
In circumstances that you knew that someone who was under your direct command could be implicated in
Not
death?
my direct command.
I beg your pardon. Someone who would be under your command, your responsibility. If he were indeed implicated in the death, it would be to some extent your responsibility. Do you accept that?
No.
You do not accept.
Far removed.
You do not accept that if one of your soldiers is involved in the death of a civilian, that you have any responsibility whatsoever in that, as chief of staff?
Depend on the circumstances.
In the circumstances with which we are dealing. In these circumstances, sir, you don't accept that you will have any responsibility. People are damned.
I said direct responsibility, and I'm saying no.
I didn't say anything direct.
You did.
Do you, let me try to rephrase it to make you happier. Do you accept that if Gregory Smith was involved in the death of Walter Rodney in the circumstances that we understand them to be, that you have a responsibility to investigate that?
I don't share your view.
Not my view. Do you agree with that?
I share your view.
Don't get back. Don't get back. Don't get back.
He answered you. He said no.
He said that's not share my view.
He said no.
And Counsel and all the all he mentioned is that I don't share the view you presented. When he said I don't share your view, you might be expressing a view that is saying itself.
Where to share?
You don't share the view you present.
Where to share?
You know, so no personality.
No, I'm not trying to in any way personalize it at all. I'm trying to take my view out of it. Is it your position that if Gregory Smith was involved in this matter and that he was being flown around by people from the GDM, that he would have no responsibility?
No, I think that you want to answer the question that Mr. General, I think you need to answer the question directly because a lot of what is being presented to you is reflected in what is before us and shortly to be made public. So you proceed on the premise for a moment that the GDF aircraft transported Gregory Smith.
Do we have evidence of that?
Yes, proceed on that basis that that is the evidence. What is your reaction? You said you didn't know about it, you didn't know. His question is that if it was brought to your attention, would you have thought you had a responsibility to that?
Investigate.
Yes.
However you have.
The police and the other personnel were doing that. I didn't see it that I have to investigate it.
But that is one answer. Now, you would perhaps have passed it on to them so that they run with it. Is that what you're saying? You would draw down the attention of the police?
It was being investigated by them. No question about it.
Did you do anything in any way to facilitate and cooperate the police investigation?
Not me personally.
Did you direct officers under your command to cooperate specifically with the police? Did you think that would be something that would be? Can I finish the question before we get answers into? Did you think there would be any utility in you offering assistance to the police in their investigation of this matter?
There were people doing that. I didn't have
Who was doing that? Who was
I
doing
have
that?
officers under my command who will do that. Not me.
How do you know that they did that, sir? Seems like you turned a blind eye to it, Major General.
He said officers under his command were involved.
I asked him.
Can you know, and give him a chance to answer it for all these officers?
I asked him, he doesn't answer.
What has he said?
He didn't answer, he's still
Yeah, I'm waiting.
He's up in his being a little open space. Can you answer that? Who are the officers under your command that were dealing with this matter, sir?
Police.
The officers under your command, sir, please. All the show done now. Where you show, man?
Mr. General, I think you still have an obligation to answer the question he asked. He's asking you who were the officers under your command who were dealing with the police on the matter.
call it more business.
You call the names of people that you are aware were doing the work, dead or alive. How did you know that they were doing this work? You don't want to get nice questions. How did you know that they were doing this work that you say you didn't do?
They were supposed to do it.
They were supposed to do it. Do you have any information that suggests they did any such cooperation with the police investigation?
You should ask the police.
I'm asking you.
I don't know.
But say that. You only have to say that.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I think McLean is probably the witness. That's the
Oh, this is from the great
Secondly, he has a nauseous that the police is investigating this matter. He gave evidence that he was head of the joint services and the coordinated aspect of the joint services. Is it impossible from that position for him to know that the police was investigating this matter? He has answered it all the time. What is all this hypocrisy about? Why was he answer some speculative question? That if this happened and if this didn't happen, where are we going? He had said he was head of the joint services, he did coordination among the joint forces. Did he get the police? And he's telling you that the police are investigating the matter. Why do you keep repeating the action in the same over and over again?
Just before, can I just get the last question and answer? Any information, do you have any information that they were assisting the police? And his answer was, I don't know. Is that the answer we just got?
I'm not sure what he actually said in response. If it was there that other friend questions it.
I think that's correct. I don't know.
Major General, you all decided seem to be no longer with us.
He was doing so well.
They wholly disconnected and so well doing from a young friend to the film. From all of us. I know it's getting late and I'm starting with a getting hungry, but give us your best effort and work with cooperation response and hopefully we'll be too long now before we bring it in. So, keep it short as your babies you can. I think that
I think since I've landed here, we got to take on the tones of my learned friends to my left. I'm not going to return to my usual demure selves.
That's why it's going up.
Was the machine going ready?
I thought I detected almost a shout in there to the other side.
I think that was the witness.
That's keeping their faith. I'm sure that the general will respond.
I'm sure he will. I'm very close to you.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say for the Major General's benefit that you should simply listen to the question that Counsel is asking and not rush to answer it, because that's probably the difficulty here. Just listen carefully to the question Counsel is asking and then answer the question. And if you don't understand the question, ask Counsel to clarify the question for you instead of getting into the debate and misunderstanding the question.
I think Mr. General has heard you. I'm not sure that he has any better at that point then. You've been doing outward development. I don't know that quite see that, but thanks for the reminder.
Major General, is there a point at which you would say you closed your investigation into this matter? I'm sorry, beg your pardon. Maybe you said there was never any investigation at all by you. There was never any investigation by you at all. Is there a point at which?
No, I think that when you said that you said that it's forced.
No, I'm directing at him. It seems like it's force that you were doing.
And his answer was that his force were assisting the police. He didn't say that his force conducted an investigation.
I think explicit all that we said, when it explicit is that it was being dealt with at a level below it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that is what we say.
So the names that you called who were investigating this matter, did you have any conversation with them or any report from them on the progress of their assistance to the police?
They were assisting the police.
Right, so the question is, did you get any report from them or have any conversation with them in which they discussed with you the progress of the investigation and their cooperation with you?
The answer is no.
Okay. And you would have regarded the death of Walter Rodney in the context of what you have described for us as a significant matter.
I don't think so.
And you didn't think that you should in any way follow up the progress of the investigation of someone who was a former person under your command? Wow. I consider that as well. You didn't think that was something that you would have any responsibility in?
That's a different issue.
Well, now that you have that issue before you, no, that responsibility, though, you think you had. Oh, I'm sorry. You had no responsibility. I certainly agree with you on that one. No, you had clarified that you didn't swear any oath to Mr. Burnham. I think that's what we had looked at earlier. Your oath you swore was to the people of Ghana.
I pledge myself to always flag of Ghana. I be loyal to my country. The laws of Ghana. Love my fellow. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's my pledge. That's how you ask me and say that's my pledge.
I'm asking about the oath. The oath that you swore was to.
To who?
I'm asking you, who did you swear to?
What?
Do you want to? I am asking.
What code you are asking me about? What kind of and what code we are?
You have to let me finish. If not, I won't be able to tell you. What oath, if any, did you swear when you took the office in 1977?
Code of allegiance.
To,
The country, the state of Ghana.
you never swore any oath to burn.
Yes, sir.
But before whom you swore?
President of the chunk.
Your statement to the commission, about half of it describes the various awards you received. You agree with that?
No, well, I was given 117 questions.
I'm just asking about the statement. The statement that you provided. The statement that you provided. You agree that about half of it is your awards. And you
No, sir. It's about my appointments, different story.
Oh, I beg your pardon. You agree that more than half of your statement consists of describing your various appointments, the medals you received from various people like the Queen of England, and the medals of service and medals of efficiency. You agree with that? That's really the bulk of your statement, other than the fact that you may want to sue someone. That's the bulk of your statement. You agree with that? You have something to hide on this commission.
For what?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't understand this land pressure. It's unfair to the witness. When previous witnesses here have laid over statements that were completely false, and I have raised that to this commission, and the commission said it is okay, and they will give the evidence when they read the box. I've raised this 99% of what was given by Mr. Rodney, by far he gave words. And but not Mr. Grant, that much. 99% of the evidence in the box was not in statement.
That the question was not fair.
And so it's not a fair question to put to the Major General.
If you have questions, well, first ask.
What I asked,
Yes.
I was given 117 questions.
In a limited time.
Exactly. And so when I came here, I came to answer those questions. I was told that a prerequisite was that I had to make a statement. Within a short time, that is the statement I gave.
You think that behind the backdrop to what happened?
Grateful to you, Chair.
So that if you have questions, so answer these here.
I asked them once, I asked them if we had anything to hide.
No, we don't think that
I really take objection.
Take objection away. The right question, do you have anything to hide from this commission? I don't think it's an unfair question at all.
Well, it is an unfair question. Why did you establish?
Haven't been given the backdrop to the circumstances of which purposes of a very brief statement. It's not for us to question them if we need to do that.
Very good, Chair.
Those are just hidden.
Did you at any time take any steps to find out anything of the desertion of Gregory Smith?
No.
Did you think you had any response? Say pardon.
You went to get the answer.
He answered it, right?
Because the detective put off the gap and go on.
Guided Chair.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did you think you had any responsibility to the people of Guyana who you serve to find out about his desertion and the circumstances of his desertion?
Will I answer? No, then you would answer it already.
You answer many times.
You answered it before you.
Not on the desertion.
No,
On the desertion specifically, I haven't asked about
oh,
that.
on the research.
Yes, sir. Great. Did you answer?
No, sir.
You thought you had no responsibility in that regard. I'm suggesting to you, sir, Major General, beg your pardon, that you deliberately turn a blind eye to this investigation and to the goings on. It's up to you.
I'm asking.
You were asking that all along. You have to answer all the questions, sir, unless the chair tells you otherwise.
That's what I was asking the chair.
You didn't ask that all the
If
time.
I thought it was an improper question, I would have so indicated the exact answer. What was the question?
Did you deliberately turn a blind eye to this investigation and its circumstances?
No, sir.
Those are my questions for the meeting.
General.
I beg your pardon, sir. I beg your pardon. Major General.
I warned you.
I'm sure that you have, sir. I'm sure that you have. He's very well said.
I think the omission so far on the record is, why did you not think that you had any obligation to follow up the matter once you learned that one of your members might have been involved? The very started in the case of the community, when the effective started of the army, why were you secretly so detached from it? Why did you not think that you had an obligation to concern yourself with it only in following up your officers who were dealing with it?
Because it was being investigated both by the police and by the army.
But as the head, you didn't think at any stage you needed to, I would need to know from time to time how you get down. I know I have it in the hands of good men, to tell your officers that, but keep me in the loop from time to time so they know what's happening. You never did it. That extra step.
Yes and no. I would say that the matter was so much in the limelight that was under the police, particular investigation being done by the police.
And so you have to been involved in it after that.
But Chair, with the greatest respect, he said he never had any contact whatsoever with those good men. So they cannot make an assumption that he was satisfied that they were doing any proper investigation. But he had no contact with them, he got with them at all.
No, but that's the form of leadership too, you know. Sometimes
Like absenteeism, sir.
some leaders are very detached up there to give it them.
He appears very detached, sir.
And they want to tell them that, especially dealing to the police had the front role. The police was principally regulated. So that's his evidence. Well, we cannot let them get copy, but that's his evidence.
Well, Mr. Chairman, with the greatest respect, and I'm sorry that I speak so much, but I guess speakers have done so many of these type of hearings, but maybe we should request the file from the military, police, or intelligence if they exist for the material time in respect to this particular matter, the Rodney affair, and what, if anything, the military police did to assist the Guyana police force what, if anything, the intelligence unit did, what level of coordination there were between these units. Obviously, the Major General can't answer those questions 34 years later, and he seemed to have been out of the loop for whatever reason. But if there are records that exist, and I wrote to the Commission on this point before, let them be produced.
Well, we may find your suggestion useful, but now, do you have any questions?
I'm going tomorrow morning.
I would just like to point out that the Secretariat has indicated to me that they have been in touch with the military. And I can assure you that the commissioners themselves made preliminary contact with the military. The request has been made, and we have been assured that files are being searched for, and certain documents have been presented to us. So do not think that we have been derelict in our duty in that respect. Efforts have been made, and our
relationship is on way too, our contact is on way.
You know, the thing that I was thinking about in coming here this morning is terms of reference number 5. Because this commission is asked to look at what other previous inquests, other previous investigations have done in respect to this matter. And this is an international commission of sorts because you have lawyers from other countries, commissioners from other countries. This commission must have before it and must make its best effort to get each and every single document before it at the appropriate time. You don't want to find yourself in a position 20 years later where someone else is looking into your inquiry itself and asking questions which you may have to ask with respect to previous investigations. Any document that would have been relevant for the Major General today should have been here. Somebody should put the pressure on the Army to get those documents before the Commission and forthwith.
So why are you suggesting that we have not been most probably doing that?
Mr. Chairman, you can issue a summons to the Army and have the Chief of Staff appear there. That's what I would have done if I was sitting in Commission's Counsel's position, which I have in over 1,000 hearings. I would have issued a subpoena as a record holder. He would have been here and with those documents.
Yeah, but you only issued that if you don't get voluntary cooperation.
Mr. Chairman,
this is a hearing. This is a tribunal hearing. It's a serious matter.
Yeah, but you don't walk about issues subpoenas that people cooperate voluntarily with you.
Well, the documents should have been here. They're not. A subpoena is appropriate. If it was been subpoenaed.
Okay, apart from lecturing the commission, do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I will proceed with my questions in the morning.
But Mr. Chairman, to support my right.
I recognize Commission Counsel before you are. Yes, go ahead, please.
I just wish to state for the record that the Guyana Defence Force has been cooperating with the Secretariat. They have been providing us with documents, and we are liaising with one Mr. Patrick West, who is currently serving within the Army. It would be inaccurate to say that we have not been receiving cooperation from the Guyana Defence Force.
Mr. Chair, I just wish to state that the Major General is here by virtue of a subpoena. He has been subpoenaed to come here. And I don't know what cooperation there is, and no documents are forthcoming for this year. And by now, the documents should have been subpoenaed. But he's already testified. He has been shown documents. So I don't think it lies in the mouth of counsel for the commission to say that they are cooperating. Cooperating to produce what? Nothing.
I'm not sure that there's any real dispute between that city pursuit here and the interpretation that is suggested. No one has suggested in the witness as of yet that something that he said they would need to see documentary support and really be filed. No one has suggested that. All the questions asked of him for the most part, he answered out of his own knowledge and with no need for violence. So I don't understand this big thing about violence.
We're showing something with a signature,
He said he did not recognize Mark Pearson's signature on it.
and then you showed another document that was told by counsel that it was supposed to be from some accounting and ledger.
Yes,
How are we proceeding?
yeah, but is he supposed to know each and everything? He said yes, he knows the form as a form that is used by the GDM, but he did not recognize the signature. He just showed another page sheet, and he says it seemed to have an additional portion added on to it. That is all that he said. So how is this big talk no violence or the absence of violence? And she relates to the point time.
Mr. Chairman, the Army, and I'm sure that if you received a file, you would see that. When a major incident happens within the Guyana Defense Force or the Guyana National Service, because as the Major General told you, I did do a stint as a teenager, 17 to 18 years old, in the National Service. They do have their own internal inquiries and commissions of inquiries. And if you were to get the files, you would see what commission of inquiry was conducted internally by the Army in respect to this particular incident. Because they would have had an inquiry with respect to the Gregory Smith affair internally.
But you have the opportunity to ask them about it. You are lecturing the commission, and the chance is there for you to question.
I'm not lecturing you, sir. I'm just requesting documents and putting my thoughts on the record. Please don't, I could never lecture such distinguished persons like yourself, and please don't take it that way.
Yeah, but if for the purposes of your question, you knew the witness was coming. You indicated to us that you are aware of an internal inquiry and that you would like him to be walking with the file. He also indicated, in fact, might be adjourned. I don't think we'll complete today. We can make that request of it. But this can all be done quietly, politely, and effectively.
Okay.
So you seem to know something that we didn't know. There was an internal inquiry. You had the opportunity to question him about it. But to the extent that you have mentioned it, we will ask him, Mr. General, most likely, please advise Mr. Counsel, the boys available to him. Yes, it is now 2:30, so we're going to take a break shortly. But we would like you to walk, as indeed we've been told, that there has been a file dealing with an internal inquiry. And if it is not too late for you to get hold of this, I don't know where it may be filed, I'll be glad that you can walk with it. Well, you're no longer there, but it might very well be that you can. But if you can, we will make effort to get it on the arm.
Mr. Chairman, why don't you direct the Army to bring it here tomorrow? Ask the record holder to bring the file, just like you would at a hospital or anywhere else. He's no longer with the Army and wouldn't have possession of government property. That is the government of Guyana's property. Direct the Army to do it. That's what your powers are as commissioners.
I don't know where you were so energetically lecturing us. That we can make the request of the custodian of the file. I don't know whether we will be able to get them here in time, but we can't necessarily.
We're trying to get to the truth of this matter, and every single document that exists and should exist should be here. That is what my point is. I'm certainly prepared to excuse myself from the commission if that cannot happen, because I'm not prepared to be part. I'm not prepared to be part of a tribunal where 20 years later my name is on the record. And it's questioned why we didn't take the due diligence to get those documents. If I was commissioned counsel and advising you, a subpoena would be issued. I was counsel for the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada on many cases involving war crimes, crimes against humanity, and many other cases. And we made sure we dealt with international agencies show omission to get as much evidence as possible so that when decisions are made, there was a full factual foundation. And that's the problem I find in this case. The Army has produced nothing. I have no evidence as to what steps the Commission took to get those materials from the Army. A Major General is here. No documents that are properly with the Army are here to put before him, including Gregory Smith's file. And that's totally unacceptable, because if those files were here, it would have shown what steps were taken to deal with the Gregory Smith desertion, none of which is here. And one of the counsels representing the Rodney family has already asked his questions without the benefit of seeing those documents.
We're not too late to get hold of files that indeed are still available. We make every effort to do so, but do not give anyone the impression that a large number of files have not been made available to us, such that we can provide the material that may be provided in support of the Commission. So if you think in this particular case, there are files that we should see, Counsel is prepared to make every effort to make sure that we get them. The witness has to come back, and perhaps may defer his coming back until the next session, and I think that'll be it. So to give you the opportunity to get whatever panels you think may be relevant.
Mr. Chairman, I guess my advice on the matter, I think the urgent rule that ought to be used is that the chairman of the defense board, every request is raised to the chairman of the defense board.
He may be able to speak up.
He should. Basically, his name is Dr. Luncheon.
You seem to know well of his capacity.
I am saying, sir,
I have taken note,
that is the best person for the council and your staff.
And as soon as I hear your name, I agree with you.
I wonder why your suggestion brought down the house.
You seem to know what you know. You can get what you've done.
I hope you're not setting us up.
No, sorry. Finally, it's great music.
But Mr. Peters, I don't think you're being entirely fair to the Commercial Council. You practice in a very sophisticated jurisdiction, and I can tell you, being in Caribbean, do not move with the same alacrity that you're accustomed to. No effort has been spared as far as we are concerned about getting those records. But we are hoping that we don't have to use our coercive powers to get them. And of course, we have it within our discretion to defer any witness if it is your right. If you have a clear suggestion, I think your tone seems to be very critical for some of this. It's an ongoing exercise, and remember, we have been trying to meet, given the 34 years almost, I think today is 50, in a few days will be 34 years since this incident occurred. So some of these records by these various agencies, I suspect are in the archives. And it will take some doing and retrieving them. It's not an incident that occurred last year or 5 years ago. So efforts are being made. We were encouraged in our stakeholders meeting by the clear indications we have received from the Army, the police, and all the others, including your flag, the United Philippines Service, for the cooperation. So we would like to assure you that we are making every effort, and we are alive. We are alive individually and collectively of our very onerous responsibilities, and we do not want posterity to be unkind to us. We are very grateful, but I wish you were not severe to the Commission Council as you. But here, I'm sure, I hope that my comments are sure.
Chair, I just wanted to indicate that while I agree with much of what Commissioner Diagram is stating, I also agree with much of what my learned friend who practices way in the north in the first world is saying. And I don't think that we should in any way try to move away from standards that we have set in the Caribbean, which is that generally speaking, we do not like to cross-examine when we're seeing papers for the first time when the witness arrives. And generally speaking, throughout the proceedings so far, in my involvement, we're seeing people's statements days, maybe a day or two before or on the day, and it is not a standard to which we are accustomed in this region. And if it is that we are unable to provide statements before the day before, it may be that these proceedings should be adjourned until such time as those statements are available, rather than every time we arrive here, we receive a statement the same day or the day before, and then we proceed.
I just want to experience you have the commissions of inquiry, but this is my day, but I can tell you that in each one, including the most recent one in Trinidad, like for 3 years, the two commissions of inquiry, some statements we had in advance of sittings, some were produced in initial sittings, because the commission is a dynamic process. Something is mentioned by a witness that caused the investigators to pursue that line that was indicated. And in 2 or 3 days, an additional statement is provided. You get it in the morning, but you are focusing, so it falls in the context. And the question, the witness on it a day later. Nothing unusual in commissions of inquiry. It's hectic work.
We understand the dynamic situation, but there is an availability of a lot of this material in our view. Certainly, I agree with Mr. Peters on this. Some of this material should have been available already.
I should add, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that the late production of statements does create a special and extra burden on us as commissioners and also on counsel. And as you speak, Mr. Pilgrim, I would also urge that counsel who are here, who are representing various parties and bodies, if you could ensure that the parties and bodies you represent could produce their statement to us, because there are persons here who are cross-examining and examining, and you still have not got statements from the clients you represent.
We put in writing our willingness to deliver.
Charity would start at home. It would be most greatly appreciated that.
I'm grateful to you, Madam Commissioner, but I think we must be aware that those witnesses are certainly not coming in this session, and that we have given undertakings in writing as to when those statements will be produced, and so that everyone should have more than a week or 2 weeks, based on the breaks that you all have scheduled, as to when those statements will be in your possession.
I call no names, Mr. Bill.
I know for you to talk for myself.
I'm happy that the commissioner said so, because the commission is trying to find out that indeed, whatever we say is relevant, we say not cooperating.
You're not cooperating?
My clients.
Mr. Pilgrim, may I just add, because I think we need to get this, put this to bed once and for all. As you know, and all counsel here, our own experience, normally you have cases of all the statements. So apart from the dynamic of his phone, you know what your client is like. You say, we don't know. And we have, at sight of it, we have been able to ask any witness, not on assumption. This witness is saying in the statement, like you see, when he or she comes, X, Y, and Z, what do you have to say about that? So it will help. So I join the chorus, and I fully endorse what my fellow commissioner, Mr. Samuel Brown QC said. That it would be very useful indeed to have. I understand Mr. Williams' position.
We're all at the end, and I wrote to the Commission Secretariat indicating that on Friday of this week, that statement should be with you. So I hope I will still be able to comply with that, but subject to my ability to keep up with the daily proceedings in circumstances that I'm getting material day by day. I have other things to do, including eating and sleeping.
And I hope that all your colleagues at that side will follow.
We're working hard. We're very close to
most
you.
grateful.
You know, Commissioner General, I noticed what you said.
Thank you.
The real outstanding issue now is whether in the journey we should be calling Major General tomorrow, or whether a period of you're not living here, sir, as I understand it. He's living here. You're living here?
Tomorrow.
Yes, but that might be a good thing in the sense that we may need some time to pass before you come back the next occasion, because it will allow us to secure the documents about which mention was made. I hope they prove to be of some help. And that it's not getting the documents to get it sick. But we would know when we see the documents. To that extent, every effort should be made to secure them.
Grateful Chair. I want to pick it. Chair, I just wanted if I could reserve my right in the event that we do get those documents before we continue any cross that is necessary.
That's good with you. Commissioner Counsel, you come with otherwise tomorrow.
No, but we would like to know what's witness now with taking court. I mean, we participate a lot.
Yeah, well, it happens already. The commission has been good. I mean, nothing new about that. We can complete our regulars.
Yeah.
We like to do that, but it's not. Are we otherwise covered tomorrow? That is not covered.
Actually, we are, I think, a little embarrassed by it. So we didn't say it's unavailable tomorrow. Our anticipation was that we would continue for the rest of the day.
Yeah, but if you like the morning tool, you have a witness available.
We can have a witness, but the audio will be finished tomorrow.
I'll say no whether you get finished the witness tomorrow, whether you have one, no one has to say it.
Yes.
You have a witness, so that's good.
So, we know who the witness is.
Alan or Robert Gates.
Robert Gates?
He has many aliases.
Yes, I know he has several aliases.
We have a statement for him.
I can't get check his name. If you do not have it now, we will ensure council for the commission indicating that they'll ensure that you have it before the day's end. And I think an apology would get correct.
I hope I could get the coroner's inquest, which I had asked over a week ago. I hope I could get it also.
I have said before, I don't want to say it again. As soon as you get a statement, I've said that, I'm sure you've heard me say it, Mr. Williams. Get it out of all the parties. Don't keep it here. It's not help to anybody here. All those who are participating, the students get a statement within hours. You have a secretariat there, you have bodies at work. Simple as correct.
Mr. Chairman, there are a few persons who have given statements that have asked for reasons of security, not for their statements to be given too early, because they fear for their own safety. I don't know how we will treat them.
I have no information to make anybody feel.
When you have that problem, you break the peace. And I will handle that.
Mr. Chairman, lawyers are all officers of the courts with regards to which jurisdictions we're from. We have certain obligations as officers of the court that we have to maintain in any event. So that wouldn't apply to us.
Up to yesterday, somebody was threatened with death in this very commission.
So does that have anything to do with the lawyers?
Well, I think that you are falling down, because if that happens, you should let us do it.
Where do you keep it at, take your breath?
Keeping it to yourself, whatever. If that is the position, you let us know. We know who to contact as well. You see not to know, but you tell us. Very well. So we adjourn until tomorrow after 9 a.m.